All right, everyone. Welcome to week 11 of our Framework for Faculty and Student Success course. Thank you all for the people who came today. Um, as you can see, we are well along the way towards getting this house built. Um, Simon's letting us know that we need to position and secure wall frames on the first floor to establish a safe space. Um, that is a vague reference to some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about and covering this week. Um, for week 11, we're going to be focusing on measurable and meaningful course outcomes. And it's kind of a continuation of some of the work that we started last week. Last week, we went over the first two indicators from section 2 of the Washington Course Design Checklist. Section 2 is, for those who aren't aware, all focused on outcomes. So it's a nice continuation of what we were doing at in-service and outcomes and assessment day last week, 2 weeks ago, whenever we did that. I'm still recovering from that. The outcomes work is I think you all got a lot of good opportunities to work on that. Um, I know the main focus was on the PLO assessment report for that day, for those days, but as you all know, the course learning outcomes are directly linked to the program learning outcomes. So we'll talk a little bit more today about that. We'll talk more about Bloom's. Our goal or outcome for this time today and this week in general is to transform course level outcomes into measurable statements using action verbs and design activities that help students connect those outcomes to their educational life and career goals. So this second one here is maybe what we'll spend most of our time today doing because I feel like y'all have worked with Snowy and people from curriculum committee to make sure that all of your outcomes have action verbs at the beginning and they're mapped to Bloom's taxonomy and that everything is measurable. So our alignment is related to responsibility, remember, and understanding, and our outcome that is aligned with the skill standards is to create, evaluate, and modify assessments. But I actually don't think we're going to be doing much assessment work. But maybe for this section we will talk about activities that we can do so that we can get the student perspective on how our course level outcomes, or they say course level from the Washington Course Design Checklist, but what are we doing? Course level outcomes. No, what am I thinking of? Course learning outcomes. Sorry. So this I'll give you all the code later so you can take the survey and get the points for this one. But I'm going to go ahead and just jump right into 2.1c unless anybody has anything that they want to talk about, maybe from the previous weeks or anything related to outcomes in general.
I just have a quick question. If I haven't done last week's, am I going to be lost?
I think it is a bit scaffolded, but I think that scaffolding has been done already at this college, like those two things. Um, and I don't know, I feel like this indicator especially, they talk about Bloom's taxonomy, and then that's what we were talking about last week. So I
All
think
right.
you'll be okay.
Okay.
All right. So I'll go ahead and put this link in the chat for you all to easily access this one. The course, I'm just going to call them course level outcomes. I'm just going to call them CLOs because that works both for both of them. CLOs describe measurable knowledge and skill performance. And actually, while we're doing this, if y'all want to get up if you have a course, maybe a course that you think you need to work on, like maybe you got some insight from outcomes and assessment in in-service day as to a course that might need to adjust the CLOs based on the information you got when we were putting together the PLO report. Try to get a course that, and I mean, any course is okay. Any course that you have your CLOs for. Try to have it handy because I want to ask you all what your CLOs are for these examples. And I think that'll make it a little bit more directly related to you all. Courses typically have 3 to 7 learning goals or outcomes, as some people like to call them. If you were to pick a course out of random, how many course learning outcomes would you say that you have for that course? I'm just curious about the number of CLOs y'all are working with. Tracy?
Pretty much all of my courses have 7.
Okay.
Yeah, mine vary from, I have one that has 3, but usually they have 5 to 7.
Okay. So it seems like y'all are in the range of kind of that standard amount. Do you think that if you were to look at yours and judge whether you think that they are measurable or not? Maybe try to find an example of a course learning outcome that is measurable, and then maybe one that you're not so sure about, or if you're sure that it's not measurable.
Mine are really, yeah, the ones I'm picking are need work.
Need work? Okay, good. That's why we're
I mean,
here.
it just says a minimum of 70% rate of accuracy. That's how it's measurable. Then that's not a good.
Well, I mean, that's definitely measurable. The question was if they're measurable, and if you have a specific percentage that they need to get. But we can work on it. We can workshop it. Anybody else have any CLOs that they want to share? And maybe we can guess. We can discuss amongst ourselves whether we think it's measurable or not. So I think that one's measurable because as they take the whatever, is it an assessment that they have to take, or is
Well,
it?
it's okay. So the first outcome for this course is incorporate industry standard floor plan symbols into CAD generated drawings at a minimum of 70% rate of accuracy.
I know what you're doing. That's a SMART goal. SMART goals, which I'm sure you all are familiar with them, but just in case you're not, specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and then this. I usually it's you gave me a number. I thought it was time, but yours is
No,
percentage
70%
based. Yeah.
rate of accuracy. Yeah.
Well, that's definitely measurable,
Yeah.
but you don't like that?
So my accreditor,
Sorry, Tracy, you broke up. What were you saying? I think we lost
sorry,
you.
I
Oh
didn't,
yeah, there you go.
I interrupted you. Um, can you hear me? My internet. Okay, my internet is not doing so great. I'll come back to.
Okay. Okay. So that's good. What else do we got? We got Don in the chat saying implement a fault tolerant storage system. Okay. I like implement. I feel like that is one of the ones. And so I'm sure you all have seen this and heard about this before for Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom's taxonomy is a, wow, nice. Could not find what we were looking for.
Has left the building.
Yeah, right. Wow. Okay, so Bloom's taxonomy is it's different levels of complexity for completing some sort of objective or outcome. Effective domain objectives. Tracy, you're gonna have to expand on that a bit.
No,
Uh,
affective domain. So like
Affective.
not psychomotor, not cognitive, but I am required to have behavioral objectives by my accreditor.
Okay. And so what is one of your are you calling these, are these the outcomes of your course, or are these just objectives of
Yeah.
like the lesson?
These are course level. And so I have the same one for all of my classes. And it's display behaviors aligning with professional standards and expectations in the clinical laboratory.
Mhm. I like that. Display behaviors.
Mhm. But then
Okay.
it becomes, this is Tracy's like opinion of my displayed behavior.
Right. I was just about to go into that, and I was going to say what is that behavior that
Well,
it,
I mean, it's based on my 15 years of industry experience, so I wouldn't say, but
Oh, no, I wasn't trying to say that. Like I'm sure that
no,
you know
that's,
exactly what you're doing, but
yeah.
for a student to know that, I guess they would just have to learn it by doing it, right?
Well, that's kind of gets into, I mean, I try to, I'm trying to embed professionalism, so, but their introductory class does talk about the professional code of ethics, which maybe if I just tie it back to that.
Mm, that would anytime you can do that, then you've got, you know, it's like scaffolded. It's adding
Right.
on to um previous things. Um, so I mean, y'all pretty much know what's going on here, but the bottom here of the pyramid is focused on kind of that um, introductory, or the introduction to some sort of concept, and you are just working on recalling information, remembering the vocabulary, remembering the basically all the information that you need in order to move up to the next level, which is, now that I remember it, now I need to show how I can understand it. And so actually, I'm going to make this image a little bit bigger because it's hard to read. And actually, you know what? I've done this before. I wonder if I can find it quickly, but there was there's a new Bloom's taxonomy that is 3D. Let's see if I can find it by typing in. Oh, there you go. Bloom's taxonomy 3D. Uh, this one is adding in another domain. So we've got the cognitive process. This is the one that I was just showing you, the remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate. But then there is a knowledge dimension, which is factual, conceptual, procedural, and metacognitive thinking about thinking. Okay, so it's the same kind of thing building up. And so there is a crossroads here. So if I want to remember factual, then something like list, right? If you have a introductory course and you just want your students to be able to list the primary and secondary colors in this example. If I can find a bigger one than this, hold on. Oh yeah, here we go. Let's see if I can get my hands on this one. Mm. So close. Okay, we'll just go off this one. So remember, conceptual is a larger structure. Oh, this is like more big picture, thinking about how it relates uh, to other things. And so here you've got recognize. So you've got a bunch of different, so I'm thinking just right off the top of my head would be like a multiple choice, right? A multiple choice question, you would have to recognize which one is correct and which one's not correct. Recall is, or sorry, procedural relates to some sort of process. And then metacognitive is thinking about thinking. So in this example, to remember would be to identify something. And then yeah, you can see as you're moving up the list, it's kind of similar to the pyramid in a way. But then I would say, want to try to focus on like this section. I mean, obviously, if you're teaching introductory class, you need your students to be able to remember and understand concepts. And so maybe this section might be for like the first or second quarters, depending on how long your program is. Applying and analyzing. So now we've got the knowledge, we want to use it. Okay. And so apply has stuff like use, respond if somebody's asking you a question, uh, differentiate. Ooh, this one, deconstruct, break it down. And then analyzing, selecting. The evaluate and create. So if you've done some work and you want to check it, or somebody else has done some work and you want to check it, that would be an evaluative thing. Determining, judging, reflections. Reflections is kind of that metacognitive way to evaluate what you all have been doing. And so I feel like, especially in this age of AI, reflections are important. That is, if the students are not using the AI to create their reflections, if they actually sit down and think about what they're learning and how it relates to, or how it's going to benefit them in their career, in their life. And then generate, assemble, design, create. Obviously, create is the top of the list. If you can make something that incorporates all the stuff that you've learned, that you've remembered, that you've understood, it's kind of like, if I were to break it down, it would almost be like if you've ever heard of the PPP method of teaching, where you present information at the beginning so that students can remember and understand. Then you give the students a chance to practice, right? So you're presenting is the first P. The second P is practice. So here you're applying what you've learned, and then you're analyzing to see if it's correct. And then, well, that would be evaluating, but analyzing means kind of like breaking it down. And then evaluating creative, that would be the produce P. So present, practice, and produce. It's tried and true, I would say. Like a lot of classes that I teach, I kind of follow that similar thing where I'll talk a little bit at the beginning, make sure everybody knows what's going on, and then start moving up and making stuff. So that's what I hope's happening in here. I hope y'all are getting some information so that you can go and complete these sections of the assignment. But yeah, that's basically Bloom's taxonomy and how that works. And so I like this table here. I think it's very helpful to get the idea of the process when putting together a course learning outcome that is measurable, and that's using action verbs, you want to think about the step one, what do you want your students to learn? So for example, how to write a strategic business plan. We want to identify what level of the Bloom's taxonomy that is. So if they're writing something, that means they're most likely creating something, right? And then under create, we need to see which verb we want to choose. What kind of create do we want? Do we want to design something? Do we want to develop, formulate, investigate, construct? The good thing about our college is a lot of the stuff is hands-on. They're actually like doing stuff, right? You got architectural design. They're in CAD and they're making stuff, right? For the most part. And so we would want to add any extra criteria that will show how it will be observed. So if they're developing a business plan, how are they going to how can you observe it? And so presenting to a panel of business professionals, that would be a very realistic thing. Like this sounds like something that they would do once they're done with the college. And then it's taking all of these and then adding them all together to create something like, upon completion of this course, students will be able to develop a written strategic business plan for a proposed business of their choice to present to a panel of business professionals. So I'm going to stop right there, and I want to hear from you all and think about where do your outcomes fall on this Bloom's taxonomy. And I'm going to see if I can find this bigger, if I can find a way to access this bigger version so that we can see it a little bit clearer. Another dead link. I don't want to log into. Oh, I guess I'm in. Okay, I'm gonna get this off of Pinterest. Does anybody have a outcome that they want to talk about? Page not found. Classic. Don, everything is dead links, man. What happened? You jinxed it when you said that. All right,
They need a fault tolerant storage system to store that stuff on.
there we go. Fault tolerant storage. Not again. Okay, this is just not gonna work, I think. I wish I could just see this one. I wish it could be better. Okay. All right. Anybody have a outcome that you want to talk about? And I want to see where you think it lines up in the Bloom's taxonomy. Don said implement a fault tolerant storage system. What are we doing here when we're implementing that? Oh, here we go. Thank you, Tracy.
It's a different one, but it's my favorite. So
Ooh.
keep scrolling. It's this table. I have it saved as a PDF on my computer 4 times because I keep downloading it. I love
What?
it so much.
Oh, I'm putting it in. I'm putting it in right now into this course because I like that. Hold on. Let's put this in. How do you spell courtesy? Courtesy of. Let's get that spelling right. Okay. I'm going to put the link to it. That way, if people want to get it, they can.
I will share one of my
Yeah.
CLOs as well. It's employ standard precautions and all safety precautions while handling biological samples and reagents. So
Ooh. Very, very thorough. Employ. I'm trying to find where do we find employ on this Wow, this is really comprehensive. I like
It
this,
is.
Tracy.
It's so good. Let me see. Where is employ? Well, just downloaded it again, so that's 5.
Employee. I feel like that would be kind of in the middle
Yeah, I kind of feel it's under application.
Yeah.
application.
You do a
There it
Up
is.
in the
control
second
F, you
row.
can search.
No, I can't control F on this. It's an image. Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh,
No.
it's a PDF.
It is a PDF, but it looks like it's been flattened, so I don't have the capability to do that. But we found it. Employ, okay. Nice. And then what in the scope of all your classes, is this a introductory course? Is it reinforcement, or is it a mastery?
It is, so that's another one of I have 2 objectives that are for every single class, and that's one of them. It's about, I mean, the safety piece of it, but it is, um, more probably the mid-level classes that it's most important. Yeah, and I
Nice.
think, actually, I think for the clinical rotation courses, which are the mastery classes, I think I do say that I mean, that becomes more of a behavior at that
Mm,
point, is then they're exemplifying all safety. Like it's ingrained in them at that point.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay, good, good. I like that. Anybody else?
I I put one into the chat.
All right, let's look at it. This is apply site orientation, legal descriptions, and site plan requirements to create site plans, a minimum of 70% rate of accuracy. So the accuracy relates to the information, the orientation, descriptions, and requirements.
And one of the issues here is that it has 2 of these. It has apply and create.
Mm, right. So let me see if I can find, I think I have Snowy sends out emails. I don't know, I felt like I got them every quarter about um the CLOs, and I want to bring it up because it has good information about how to, oh yeah, here we go. I got it. How to complete a CLO assessment report. So a lot of the similar stuff that we're talking about, that I got from the Washington course design checklist, is stuff that Snowy is implementing and recommending for people. Avoid grouping multiple action verbs. So,
So, Poppy, if I may make a suggestion,
Yeah.
I don't know that you actually do. I mean, yes, you have 2 verbs, you have apply and create, but you're applying the site orientation, legal descriptions, and site plan requirements to another thing. So I feel like this is focusing, I mean, I think it's like if you could maybe change the verbiage to apply site orientation, legal descriptions, and site plan requirements when creating site plans. Because to
mm,
me, that sounds like, yes, they are creating the site plans, or when drafting, I don't know. I mean, like, because they're working on the project, but the actual thing that you're measuring is that they're using the site orientation, legal description, and site plan requirements.
right. So I think I'm also trying to brainstorm here. Create a site plan. I would almost go create a site plan that includes site orientation, legal descriptions, and site plan requirements with a minimum of 70% rate of accuracy. Like I would just focus on the creation of the site plan.
Yeah.
Is that what they're doing in there? Are they're making the site plan, or are they they have a, oh, they are going to make it? Okay.
Yeah, they're going to make the site plan and yeah. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
Don got it here. Generate site plans with at least 70% accuracy by applying site orientation.
It's interesting because out of my 7, I have 1, 2, 3 of them start with create.
Oh,
And
so you're created out.
no, there's nothing wrong with creating out because that's what they're doing. They're doing
Since,
a site plan, they're doing a floor plan, they're doing a roof plan.
Design. Don put in generate.
so since in our last outcomes and assessment day, we were using generative AI for everything. I threw the statement into Chat GPT, and that's what kicked out.
That's really meta. It's metacognitive. The generative AI recommending that we generate a site plan.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, if you're worried that, it's too much of that, then uh, maybe picking a different verb that means a similar thing. It doesn't really matter. I guess it's up to semantics, but um, I do think that if the main focus is to create something, then I mean, I like the
Put it first. Put whatever the verb, whatever we're doing should be first.
because that's the one that you're going to be like really looking at is the thing that they make, right? So, okay, I'm going to move on now to 2.1C. Let me just really quickly go over some things that you can do, and maybe you've already done it, so just submit it here. But this one's talking about institutionally required outcomes of the course. Um, I read this as the college-wide learning outcomes if it's institutionally required. Um, and making sure this is something that we did. Oh, it was like in September, maybe end of August, beginning of September. I can't remember if anybody in here was at that meeting, but Sandra Clark from um, Adult Basic Education came in, and Snowy was here, and we went over all of the outcomes that she had for a course, and we tried to align them with the college-wide learning outcomes. Like we looked at, actually, let me see if I can get the college-wide learning outcomes up here real quick. But we looked at, it was mostly communication because actually I think she's ABE, but she's also ESL. And so a lot of the stuff was related to communication. And we were adjusting the verbiage a little bit because in our new college-wide learning outcomes, a lot of the focus is on uh, the student population and students who are coming from like low income or students who have trouble um, with various things and have backgrounds that make it more challenging for them to succeed in the classroom. And we'll get them up at some point, but I'm not going to get them up right now because I want to go to the next section here for time. But just know that, I don't know, when I see that, I see institutionally required, I see college-wide learning outcomes. So that's maybe a little bit out of the scope of what we're going to be doing in here, but I think taking a look at those and then seeing if there's a way for you to align to those, because at some point in the future, that's going to be Snowy's big goal is for every course learning outcome to be aligned to the program learning outcome to be aligned to the college-wide learning outcome. So I think looking at that and seeing if there is any immediate alignment that jumps out, I think that could be beneficial for you, a beneficial practice that later on you're going to have to do anyways. 2.1D, the indicator has course includes one or more opportunities for students to reflect on and make meaningful connections between course level outcomes and their educational life and career goals. This one I like a lot, and I recommend reading the full thing here. But just to go over it briefly, this one's talking about making the course learning outcomes more student friendly, and then also adding in a practical application. So here's some examples. Let's say the discipline is welding. A student-friendly course learning outcome, use advanced welding techniques for joining metal components. Okay. We've got use. I wonder where use falls on this list here. Use is application. Okay. So we're in the taxonomy. Advanced welding techniques for joining metal components. Okay, it's pretty simple. For the practical application, use advanced welding techniques to join metal components for the construction of high stress load bearing structures. So adding in that real world application of it. So why, this is great, but like why are we doing that? Why do I need to learn these welding techniques? Okay, I've in the course learning outcome it's been added the construction of high stress load bearing structures. So that's something that you can connect to the real world. Same here with mathematics. I know a lot of people are like, why do I need to learn this math? Apply mathematical algorithms to solve complex mathematical problems. Apply mathematical algorithms to optimize supply chain logistics. So here's a specific example of how you can use that skill in the real world. And it's the same thing here for the sociology. If we go down here a little bit more, adding in relevancy to student-friendly course outcomes with the practical application. So here we're going student-friendly plus practical, and then we're going to go to relevancy. So by the end of this course, students will be able to investigate environmental justice issues related to access to clean water, clean air, and healthy living environments. By the end of this course, students will be able to investigate environmental justice issues related to access to clean water, clean air, and healthy living environments to propose sustainable and equitable community-based solutions. So I don't know. I like that. And as I was reading that, I was making that connection to when we were doing it with Sandra. It was basically we had a college-wide learning outcomes checklist, and actually have it in here. So let me find it in here while you all think about these and think about how you can add or how you can adjust it to make it student friendly, which I think it seems like most of the ones that you all were talking about seem student friendly, but adding in a practical application. Why do I need to implement a fault tolerant storage system? Why do I need to create a site plan? Something like that. Okay, so think about that. Also think about, so that's the practical element, but then also how can it be relevant to the student? And I'll bring up the college-wide learning outcome so we can try to map it to that. All right. So I found this. This is the um, rubric for looking at the college-wide learning outcomes looking at your course learning outcomes to see if they align with the college-wide learning outcomes. So I don't know why that's not loading up, but basically it's this. And then you see, based on your CLO, first of all, you need to choose whether you think it's communication, critical thinking, professional responsibility, or technology literacy. Then you decide, so if you all look at this looks familiar, right? Remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, create. These are the Bloom's taxonomy levels here. And so you decide where it falls there. And then you can look over here and see where it lines up, whether it's incomplete and it doesn't address anything related to the CWLO, whether you think it's aligned or if you think it's exemplary. So does anybody have a CLO that they would like to run up against this rubric? It could be one that we previously talked about.
Sure, we can use the one I put into chat if
All right.
we redo it. I mean,
Yeah, let's do it. Let's see where it falls on this thing. So, okay, apply. Are we gonna go with your original, or are we gonna go with some sort of remix version where
yeah,
that starts with create?
let's use Don's that he put into chat, the generate site plans with at least, or
Okay.
we could use create instead of generate, but
Sure. I like the generate because it was generated by generative AI.
yeah, there you go.
So generate site plans with at least 70% accuracy. So, all right, site plans, would that fall under communication, critical thinking, professional responsibility, or technology literacy? If you were to just guess.
Technology literacy. I mean,
I mean, they have to, is it required that they use technology? Could they make a site plan without?
no, that's the whole, they're going to put it into CAD.
Okay, they're going to be using CAD to do it. So I feel like a lot of your stuff might be tech literacy if they're learning the program, right?
Right.
Okay, so they're generating. I feel like we're in the create part here. And so let's read this here. Create culturally responsive, socio-economically and environmentally sustainable products, systems, and or services with relevant technology skills that have been critically evaluated. Okay. Sustainable products, systems, or services. I feel like a site plan, I don't know. I don't know how it falls. I don't know which one of these it would fall under, but I do feel like this is the correct one, unless y'all think it's apply. I know that Poppy's original one was apply. Challenge assumptions in the selection and use of industry-specific devices. Let's go with this one. Let's go with create. Now we can go through and look, and we'll see based on each level how it progresses through. Topics such as cultural responsiveness, social, economical accessibility, environmental sustainability in creation are not addressed. Do you talk about any of this stuff, or does any of this stuff come up while they're putting together their site plan? So if you're talking, you're on mute if you want us to hear you.
Well, they're looking at, I'm not sure. but they're, they're looking at a site, and so, I mean, they have to be they have to be
Yeah,
conscious
I,
of the environment, they're conscious of their site, they have, and where it's located, and
I think so. I think so, Poppy. So I think it is there. So now let's just decide how much of there it is. So course activities encourage students to assess the impact of the product or system on different demographic groups. So does the site, how does the site affect different demographic groups? Evaluate the environmental impact of the product or system, including the life cycle energy consumption. Do you cover any of this stuff? Energy consumption, waste generation, is that just not part of the assignment?
I mean, you're evaluating the environmental impact on that piece of property.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have to follow the rules and regs, as far as that.
Is there, if it's not there already, I mean, it sounds like you have it embedded in with the legal descriptions,
Yeah,
with all of the
site plan requirements. I mean, there's,
by way of the requirements being environmentally,
right,
the environmental impact relates to the requirements of the site plan, right?
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So students create product systems by integrating cultural values, practices, and norms into the design, considering
And
factors such
those
as,
are part of the legal descriptions again, and if you have the authority having jurisdiction that gives you the permit to build, they have the rules, and it's all based on society, what's around there, and zoning laws, and, because you don't want to have a farm in the same place as a downtown city, so there's
yeah, it makes sense. And I think if you're covering it in the assignment, and it's something that you look for in the assess in when you're grading it, um, I would put either one of these, because it sounds like it is part of it. It's part of the consideration that the students have to think about when they're putting together their site plan. Um, I'm wondering if there's a way that we could add it to the CLO somewhere where it does call it out. So that's what I feel like this one is, where we're talking about adding in the practical application, but then also the relevancy. So here, if you look, this one is talking about uh, environmental justice issues related to clean water, clean air, and healthy environments. Okay, that seems like it checks off this box here. That seems like it would check off this one, because it's talking about environmentally friendly materials and processes. So here, clean water, clean air, healthy living environments. And then it's adding this extra line here to propose sustainable and equitable community-based solutions. This one, I'm feeling like it's really taking it a step further and making it directly related to the students. So, and how the students can, like what does completing this outcome, how is that going to help them like connect it to society and the betterment of people in society. So um, let's I want to stick with this one, because I want to see if anybody has any ideas about how we can add practical application or relevancy to this CLO. And it's a little bit tricky because we don't know exactly what Poppy does in her class, and I don't know how much you all know about architectural design, but um, is there anything else that we can add on top of this to make it more practical or more relevant?
maybe something about, now it just left my head, but, mention something about, zoning laws are, that legal and site plan requirements,
I
to conform with
I think that's already there. I think where probably where it'd be defined would be the sub CLOs.
Mm, that's another method to take. Yeah, if
Because
it's
we've got the major point right there, the major objective, outcome, whatever you want to call it. But
mhm.
then the process of getting to that outcome, where your sub CLOs would be like determining whether, you're going to build this in California and the site plan says, or the law says you can't build it because of the three-legged horn-toed frog lives in that area. So you got to move to another location
yeah.
type deal. So I think the
Hashtag
sub
save the
CLOs do
frogs.
it. Yep, save
Okay.
the frogs.
Sorry, Don. Yeah, the sub CLO. Yeah, that could be a chance for you to get into more detail. Um, I'm gonna take some minute. I could tell for everyone to like think of it in the moment, but I'm gonna sit on this one, and if you come next week, I'll try to see if between now and then if there was anything that I could add that could make it more relevant or practical. Um, and then maybe we could talk about that next week to see if it sounds good. In the meantime, if y'all want to try this on your own, here are some ideas. Like, let's say you can't think of how it relates to the student because you're not your students. So what about adding a discussion or some quiz questions or another activity that asks students to reflect and share how these course level outcomes connect to their educational life and career goals? So, I mean, we're like halfway through the quarter now, but maybe thinking about for the winter time, if there's some time in the first class or two where you're going over the course learning outcomes, see how, like how do the students take them? Like, is it clear for them? Do they understand? Uh is it relevant for what they're trying to do? Do they see how what is supposed to be accomplished in that course is going to help them throughout the program and into their career? So for me, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people just kind of they put their CLOs in and they're in the syllabus and then they don't touch them or talk about them much. But for me, I feel like those are the guideposts. Those are the kind of the big goals of the course, and they should be discussed often to make sure that everybody knows where they're going and knows how to get there, and they can see, what I'm doing now is going to help me to accomplish this. And once I accomplish this, that's going to help me to get to the next thing. So hopefully if you do that already, that's great. If you don't, then hopefully you maybe can start to shift your perception on how outcomes can be introduced and discussed with the students. Yeah, this sounds like a great icebreaker, just seeing personal, educational, and career goals of your students, and then relating those to the course learning outcomes. And then if you can show alignment through how, okay, you do it in this course for the program, that's going to be, a check off for that. And then that's another check off for the skills that we're hoping that you acquire here at the college. Learning Mastery Gradebook. Does anybody use a Learning Mastery Gradebook? Does anybody know what that is?
I'm trying to.
Trying to.
I'm in the process of setting it up.
Well, you and me should coordinate sometime, Tracy. I would like to see what you're doing and
Okay.
see if there's any thing that I can add to it. Because I understand the concept and I understand like the point of doing it, but I haven't had an excuse yet to like set one up. So if you're going through it, then
Oh, good.
maybe we can set it
I
up
would-
together because yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because I'm struggling with the logistics piece of it. So
I might be able to help you with that. So if you
Okay.
if you have the content and what you want and you know the thing, and I get, we can talk about that too. But I'm in Canvas every day, so if you want to like start setting it up in Canvas, then hopefully this is something that over this next year, I'm hoping to get a better grasp on so that as a college we can start working on a learning mastery gradebook. So, all right, we only got about a minute left, and I just realized I didn't give you all the code, so I'm going to give you all the code now. The code today is, oh, I got to look it up. I'm going to put it in the chat. Oh no, I have to show it because people who are watching it. Well, I'm going to put it in the chat for y'all so that you know what it is. And then everybody else, I think this is it. And then we got to end. No, this is not it. Sorry, this is the wrong one. Cancel. Abort. The correct one is that. So if you go to the survey quiz for today and put in that, the second one, then you should be able to get the points. And I'll write it here for everybody else who's watching it later.
Where do I find this survey again? I'm
I will send you the link right now in the chat. It's the week 11. Here you go. Appropriate course level outcomes intro. Let's see, there we go.
ah,
We talked about this today. Hope that's not too blurry for everyone. All right, and thank you all for coming. And I appreciate y'all. Have a good weekend, and I hope to see y'all next week.
Yep. Have a good weekend.
all right. And all I do is type that word in and quiz results. How do I know I got it right?
What does it say?
It says quiz results are protected for this quiz and not visible to students.
Oh,
Take the survey again.
no, I think you're good. Let me make sure that it's badging correctly, and then I'll make sure that you get it. I'll text you or I'll send you a message afterwards. Is that okay, Poppy?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, cool. I'll see you all later.
Spelled it correctly.